The bite came before I even saw it move. 1 second I was standing behind the containment glass, and the next second, the glass was gone, shattered into 1,000 pieces on the floor, and something dark and fast had my arm in its mouth. I did not scream. I remember that clearly. I just stared at the thing latched onto me, this creature the whole station called the Vashtu, the one every alien on this outpost had warned me never to approach without 3 layers of shielding between us. Behind me, I heard a voice shout my name. It was Denise, my research partner, and she sounded like she was watching someone die. Maybe she was. The Vashtu was not large. That was the strange part. It was smaller than a wolf, smooth-skinned, with too many joints in its legs, and a face that seemed built entirely around its mouth. But size meant nothing with this creature. Every species in this sector had a story about it. Soldiers, scientists, entire survey teams sent to study it and never seen again. Its bite did not just hurt you, it read you. Somehow, in some way, nobody had ever fully explained to me, the moment its teeth broke skin, it released something into the bloodstream that studied the victim's entire biology in seconds, then turned that biology against itself. A soldier from the Korath fleet once told me it was like watching a body argue with itself until it lost. And now, it was in my arm. I looked down at the wound, waiting for the fire I had heard so much about, the burning that colonists described in their final transmissions. I braced for pain, I braced for the end. But nothing came. The Vashtu shuddered instead, its whole body locked up, legs trembling, and it released my arm and stumbled backward like something had punched it from the inside. I stood frozen, blood running down my sleeve, watching the deadliest creature in known space twitch on the floor of a research station like a machine short-circuiting. Denise ran to me, gripping my shoulders, checking my eyes, my pulse, anything. "Talk to me," she said. "Say something." "I'm fine," I said, and I meant it. My arm hurt, but it was a normal kind of hurt. The kind you get from a dog bite, not the kind that ends a life. Behind us, the Vashtu stopped moving completely. For a long moment, nobody in the room said a word. Then one of the Korath guards, a tall alien named Ovid, who had survived 2 encounters with this species before and lost half his crew doing it, walked slowly toward the still creature and nudged it with the end of his weapon. It did not react. It was dead. Ovid looked at me the way you might look at someone who had just walked out of a fire without a single burn. "That is not possible," he said quietly. I wanted to agree with him, but I was busy trying to understand why my arm still worked. They rushed me to the medical bay anyway, because nobody trusted what they had just seen, including me. The station doctor, a small, precise woman named Priya, ran scan after scan on my blood, my nerves, my organs, looking for the damage that should have already killed me by then. She kept frowning at her screen, like the numbers were lying to her. "Your vitals are stable," she finally said, more to herself than to me. "There's inflammation, there's a mild fever starting, but there's nothing here that matches Vashtu exposure. Nothing at all." "Maybe I got lucky," I said. She looked up at me like I had said something ridiculous. "People don't get lucky with that creature. They just don't survive it." Word spread through the station faster than I could keep up with. By the time I woke from a short, uneasy sleep, half the science team was crowded outside my room, alien faces pressed against the small window in the door, watching me like I was the strange one now. Denise came in first, holding a tablet full of data. She looked excited in a way that made me nervous. "They ran a full analysis on the Vashtu's remains," she said, "and on your blood. I think they figured out what happened." "Tell me it's boring," I said. "I've had enough excitement for one lifetime." She smiled, but it faded quickly into something more serious. "The Vashtu's bite doesn't work like a normal venom. It works like a scanner. The moment it bites, it releases a compound that reads the victim's biology, all of it, down to the smallest detail. Then it builds a response, specifically designed to shut that biology down. That's why it's never failed before. It doesn't attack blindly. It adapts perfectly, every single time, because most species it has ever bitten have simple, clean biology, consistent patterns, predictable systems. And human biology isn't predictable," I said, starting to understand where this was going. "Human biology is a mess, Denise said, almost laughing now. You've got old viral fragments buried in your DNA from thousands of generations back. You've got trillions of bacteria living inside you that aren't even technically you, but your body needs them anyway. Your immune system overreacts to things that aren't even dangerous half the time. Nothing about you is clean or simple. The Vashtu bit you, tried to read your biology instantly, and it couldn't make sense of what it found. Its whole system depends on precision. It got a puzzle instead of an answer, and the process of trying to solve that puzzle overloaded whatever mechanism controls its bite response. It killed itself trying to understand you. I lay there for a moment, absorbing that. Somewhere in the galaxy, a creature that had never lost a fight in its entire existence had finally met something it could not solve, and that something was just an ordinary person with an ordinary body full of ordinary human chaos. So I didn't beat it, I said slowly. I just confused it to death. Basically, Denise said, though I wouldn't say that out loud to Ovid. He's been standing outside for 2 hours, and I think he wants to ask you something. Ovid came in a few minutes later, and for a being who had survived things that would break most soldiers, he looked oddly hesitant. I need to understand something, he said. In my years serving this coalition, we have lost expedition teams to that creature. Good soldiers, careful scientists. All of them prepared, all of them cautious. And you survived by doing nothing at all. I didn't do anything, I admitted. It bit me, then it just stopped working. That is what troubles me, Ovid said. We have spent decades trying to build weapons that could stop the Vashtu. Shields, poisons, traps. Nothing worked, because the creature adapted to every method we tried before we could finish testing it. And you defeated it by simply existing. I did not know what to say to that, so I said the only honest thing I could think of. I didn't choose to be built this way. Nobody does. It's just how humans turned out after a very long, very messy history. Ovid studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly, like he was filing that answer away for something bigger than this conversation. News of what happened moved through the coalition quickly after that. Within a few days, representatives from other allied species began requesting information about human biology, not out of curiosity, but out of strategy. If the deadliest predator in known space could be stopped by something as simple as human blood, then human biology suddenly mattered to a lot of people who had never thought about us before. Some species reacted with excitement, treating the whole event like a breakthrough worth celebrating. Others reacted with something closer to caution, the kind of caution you show towards something you don't fully understand yet. I noticed a few of the alien scientists glancing at me differently after that, not with fear exactly, but with a kind of careful curiosity, like they were re-evaluating what humans were capable of without even trying. Priya kept me in the medical bay for observation a while longer, running additional tests just to be safe, though she eventually admitted there was nothing dangerous left to find. My fever faded. My arm healed into a scar I would carry for the rest of my life, a quiet reminder of the day I nearly became one more name on a very long list. On my last night before discharge, Denise came by again, this time without the tablet, just to talk. You know they're already writing reports about this, she said. Some of them are calling it the first confirmed case of a Vashtu encounter, ending in the creature's death, instead of the victim's. That's a strange kind of history to be part of, I said. It's a good kind, she said. For what it's worth, I don't think it was luck. I think it says something about what makes humans different. You're not the strongest species out here. You're not the fastest, or the most advanced, but you're complicated in ways nothing else has ever had to plan for. That complexity turned out to be its own kind of defense. I thought about that for a long time after she left. I thought about every warning I had heard before stepping onto this station, every story about the Vashtu's perfect record, every alien who had looked at me with quiet pity when they heard where I would be working. None of them could have predicted this outcome, because it did not come from strength or training or careful planning. It came from something built into me long before I ever arrived here, something inherited across countless generations without any of us choosing it. The deadliest predator in known space had bitten a human, expecting a clean, predictable end. Instead, it met a body too complicated to solve, and it never got the chance to try again.